Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year. Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year.
Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year. Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year.
Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year. Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year.
Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year. Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year.
Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year. Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year.
Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year. Once the law passed, the new regulations will be rolled out gradually over the coming year.
You informed on one of your own?
This guy informed on the Klan.
Obviously one of the villagers informed on the gang.
I expect you to believe it. You killed the cook. She used to be your cook, and she informed on you to Mr. Boddy.
Is that what's happening, Buck? Someone informed on you.
That's Eddie Mears, the fellow who informed on Elizabeth.
Leaks. They find out you informed on them. Nobody's going to be able to stop them from coming after you.
And she informed on you. You want my permission to inform on me?
You never know when someone might inform on you, do you?
I hope to track down those still open to persuasion and have them infiltrate and inform on the others.
Once you're there, you'll have to inform on me.
You want to inform on yourself?
Awards are given to people who inform on anti-Nazi activity.
I inform on these people and they lose their jobs.
You inform on the Kirishidam, and they give you 100 pieces of silver.
Because that's what they want, you know. I want me to inform my friends, I want me to name names, involve innocent people, ruin people's lives.
There's no way they'll let us out early.
Hey, Eric! Hey, they let you out early?
Yes, they let them out
Me out on early parole.
So that's what this is.
No way they'll let us out early.
The courts have agreed to let your father out of prison.
They let you out early?
Yes, they let them out early.
No to gunman they let out of prison. Bombers.
Let out of prison because it's too crowded.
When they let him out of prison, I'll be 31.
Hope that the rightness of the decisions we make now will be borne out in the future.
The evidence suggests a woman of low intellect and little self-control, as has been borne out in this court earlier.
Claim was thrown out.
And suffering, and to a large extent that's borne out in the way people describe what these experiences do for them.
It's simply not borne out by the evidence.
And that's already been borne out in the numbers.
But the notion that somehow America is in decline is just not borne out by the facts.
This has not borne out. What we've seen is that people are trying to cross through other areas. The idea was that if the U.S. shut down the areas that were most populated along the border, people would be deterred from crossing because they would not want to cross through some of the more dangerous parts of the border, such as the Arizona desert. This has not borne out. What we've seen is that people are trying to cross through other areas.
And of course we can't say that this proves that it is right, but it is definitely consistent with these SNPs actually being associated with your attractiveness to mosquitoes, and that sort of borne out by our experience. And that sort of borne out by our experience.
And it has been borne out by dozens of studies around the world. But it turns out that people are happiest at the beginnings and the ends of our lives. It's called the U-curve of happiness. And science, and it has been borne out by dozens of studies around the world. And
I think most of the people who voted for him, and this is borne out by national polls, still think he has their interest at heart.
And I think that was borne out by the facts. Yeah, I was not encouraged by what I was seeing and hearing from the Trump team about their views toward Russia, and I was not of a mind that they were going to follow through with additional pressure on Russia once they came into office, and I think that was borne out by the facts.
because what you read about college students today and what you hear about the lack of mixing and interaction simply isn't borne out in day-to-day reality.
The notion of American empire may be useful propaganda, but it isn't borne out by America's current policy or by public opinion.
The public think that Joe Biden won by cheating.
Yeah.
And they believe that all these fantasies being promulgated about Democratic cabals that seem to be pulling or rather I had an emotional flash of all the ways that could be abused over the next 4 years. Were you having a similar feeling in that moment? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a concern.
And were those concerns borne out over the next 4 years?
Exceeded.
Thank you.
So I think the last 8 months have kind of borne out what both of you have been saying. So I think the last 8 months have kind of borne out what both of you have been saying. So you've been proven correct.
Culver appointees. So I understand that that's a grievance that Republicans have expressed, but it's just not borne out by any facts at all about the Iowa judiciary.
What do you borne out by? But it's very difficult to figure out exactly what happened. But there was definitely a sense that there were two forces: the protesters and the riot police, and then there was this kind of third force, and that is slightly borne out by recordings of snipers that have since come out, and one pair of snipers that obviously was unknown.
This is my opinion,
and it was borne out by their research.
And this actually is borne out in my research. There's this study that shows that if you just ask college students to sit in a chair without, and this is not my research, but I'm reporting research. Well, if you ask them to sit in a chair without a phone, without a book, and say, we're going to ask you to do this for 6 to 15 minutes, are you good with that? They say, sure. Then you say, well, we're going to ask you to do this for 6 to 15 minutes. Do you think that you'd want to give yourself an electroshock during that time? They say, I don't think so. And they look like as though the researcher was crazy. And then after 6 minutes, they begin to self-administer electroshocks rather than just sit quietly with their own thoughts. And this actually is borne out in my research.
And so it's not borne out by their times, but it's also not borne out by the science.
Investigation bears out fraud claim. Investigation bears out fraud claim.
Investigation bears out fraud claim.
Investigation bears out fraud claim.
Investigation bears out fraud claim. Investigation bears out fraud claim.
Investigation bears out fraud claim.